YouTube! Welcome to Fred's Full Throttle. Alright, back to Corvette news. In today's video, we're going to cover a couple of Z06s that were spotted driving around. We're going to cover the Indy 500 pace cars. We've got some really interesting news from the US Trademark Office. We're going to talk about how to fix the Z06 configurator website, and then even sharing a couple viewers' rides. It's been a little bit, so let's get right into it. Alright, so up first we have two different Z06s spotted out and about driving over the past week or two. First is a hypersonic gray hardtop convertible with the low wing, the black exhaust, and what appears to be the satin graphite wheels. What was notable about the video was a little blip of acceleration the driver does when egged on by the filmer. You can hear a couple of downshifts, but then the car gains speed really quickly. The responsiveness of that LT6 jumps right off the screen, and then the giddy laugh of our driver says it all. Next, YouTuber Eddie X, shout out to you Eddie, spotted a non-Z07 Accelerate Yellow hardtop convertible with black wheels out on the streets near Indianapolis. He only sees the car for a moment, but as the car pulls away, it sounds amazing. It feels like we're seeing more and more of these cars out and about, and I'm optimistic we're close to both the pricing as well as the orders opening up soon. I'm sure a lot of us are more than ready to see these out on the roads for ourselves, rather than living vicariously through pictures and through YouTube. I know I am. Up next, and without subjecting you to a barrage of photos and videos, I wanted to talk about the Indy 500 pace car Z06s for just a moment. I'm sure you've all seen the pictures floating around, and I gotta say, it looks really nice. Not as wild as some of the earlier cars, I'm looking at you 98 C5, but definitely one of the best looking. I'm not going to regale you with all the details about the car, they're widely available online, and there aren't any real surprises. Instead, I want to refer you to a video that YouTuber Drive615 did of the car. He was one of the lucky YouTubers to get an invite to do a ride-along lap in the car before the big race at Indianapolis. I reached out to him and I got his approval to use a few stills and short video clips from his video. I really suggest go check out his channel, go check out his videos. He's got a bunch of great content on the C8 Z06, and it was really awesome of him letting me use a bit of his content. I'll link to his video below, but I wanted to also say thank you, Byron. I really appreciate it. The reason I want to mention this is that in this video, I noticed a few things that stood out to me. Now first, we get a number of great shots of the standard wheels and satin graphite in a variety of lighting conditions up close. This is quickly becoming my favorite color of the standard wheels, and I think that black is really taking a back seat for me now. After years of more or less just a handful of colors for Corvette wheels, the fact that we're getting a few new finishes is really exciting to me. Now once the video really gets underway and they're out moving around on the track, I noticed something else that stood out. On the gauges for the driver, I saw that the G meter was reading a 1.22 G at various points during the bank corners. Indy doesn't have particularly steep corners, especially compared to other big oval tracks, with about 9 degrees at each corner. However, at 150 to 160 miles an hour, you can see that you get a sustained G load of over 1.2 Gs throughout. Now it's a bit of a coincidence, but the Z06 with the Z07 package on flat ground has a max advertised G load of 1.22 Gs when cornering on a skid pad. Really, I just thought this was an interesting point and that the two numbers lined up. Lastly, and to me, one of the most interesting points from the video is that the driver of the car appears to be none other than GM lead development engineer Aaron Link. An accomplished driver in his own right, Aaron played a major role in the test driving at the Nürburgring and is right at home behind the wheel of the car that he helped create. I'm sure there were introductions off screen, but I love how he's getting to enjoy the excitement of the new car and frequently gets to interact with fans, the media, and other YouTubers. Up next, we have some really interesting news from the US Patent and Trademark Office from the end of May. On May 26th, Chevy filed a trademark for the Corvette Grand Sport name. As a C7 Grand Sport owner, I think this is pretty exciting. Chevy so far has made no mention of a C8 Grand Sport, and to be clear, sometimes companies file for trademarks that they never end up using just in order to keep their options open. However, I have to smile a bit at the wrench this has thrown in the speculation from internet commenters. If you've been following along on the C8 Corvette over the last 2 years or so, you'll know that it has been widely speculated that there would be no Grand Sport. Armchair experts have been claiming for over a year that the upcoming variants of the C8 would not include a Grand Sport. The speculation goes that instead of a Grand Sport, Chevy would be releasing the E-Ray in its place, relying on hybrid power and skipping a stripped-out Grand Sport. Now, traditionally, the Grand Sport has been a bit of a mashup between the Stingray and the Z06, with the C7 iteration getting the wide-body chassis, suspension, and running gear of the Z06, but without the supercharged engine of the Z06 in favor of the naturally aspirated LT1 from the standard Stingray. Now these same rumors put it that there isn't or won't be room in the lineup for a car like this from Chevy, and that they would instead focus on the higher performance variants of the car. The irony here is that this is all just speculation. The E-Ray name was trademarked very early on, and that's what kicked off these rumors. Now, no one really knows at this point outside of GM, and it could be just two different cars, it could be a placeholder, it could be nothing. And that's true for both nameplates. You'll notice that with Chevy's recent teaser for the hybrid Vette, they didn't give it a name. They may not have decided on that part yet. Now, my only advice is to try to cut through what's actual information with confirmed sources, like GM, and what's speculation or rumor. YouTube and social media thrive on rumors, and it gets clicks and it gets views, but it also sets people up for disappointment when things fall through, which were really never going to happen in the first place. In this case, I'm sure GM will provide actual announcements at some point, but until then, we just have to keep waiting. Alright, so before I get into some viewers' rides, I wanted to give a little bit of practical advice and a tip that may just help you out. And that's a problem with the Z06 Visualizer and an easy way to fix it. If you're like me, you likely use the Z06 Visualizer a fair amount to play around with options, to check out different colors, and to try to just get a sense of how the car you're ordering is going to look. It's fun stuff. However, recently I noticed what seemed to be a downgrade to the Visualizer. Various options like the brake caliper colors disappeared, some options were mislabeled, selecting various options frequently resulted in errors, and the camera could no longer pivot up and down, instead being locked to just side-to-side motion. So I did some looking around and saw that many people on the forums had run into similar issues, seemingly at random. Well, I figured out what was happening for me, and I figured I'd share in case that helps. So when I go to the Visualizer, I don't know how to get to it from Chevy's website. I just type in Z06 Visualizer in Google, click on the first result, and I've never really thought about it. However, when I started paying attention, I noticed that I was now somehow being routed to the Canadian version of the tool. If you look at the URL, you can actually see the difference. It turns out that the Canadian version of the site has way less options and is seemingly full of bugs. To fix it, just replace CA with US and hit enter. It should now load the website correctly. I've now favorited the page and I haven't had any issues since. In fact, there are now more options than there was the last time I actually visited the US page, and I haven't had any further problems. Figured this might help out anybody who's having a similar issue. Alright, so on to a couple of viewers' rides. Up first, we have subscriber Sully. Hey Sully, who I've had the pleasure of talking with frequently. His C5R 427 has been featured here before. However, he shared a picture that was just too good to pass up. He sent me this picture of a drive he did with one of the Corvette clubs that he's a part of, and they went to the Biltmore estate in Asheville, North Carolina. Since it was a private event, they got special access to tour the house and some great photos of the cars on the estate. And then as they left, they got to enjoy the twisty roads on the estate grounds too. Looks like it was a blast. Thanks for sending that, Sully. And we're going to finish this off with a pretty special car. Let me start by saying Happy Friday. One of my subscribers, Shane, sent this in, and it's amazing for many reasons. The car started life as a stock 1987 Porsche 911 in Guards Red. The plan was for Shane and his dad to convert it to a hot rod dubbed the 911 CHR for Carrera Hot Rod. Unfortunately, Shane's father passed away before they could finish the project. However, Shane decided to carry on as he knows his dad would have enjoyed the project and the time with him. The car is still a work in progress, but he has plans to make a number of changes, including repainting to Porsche mint green, a louvered engine lid with a custom grille, a 70s style racing bumper, sunroof delete, and 17-inch Steely style alloy wheels. There will also be a host of performance upgrades. Also, the car is named Eugene after his father's middle name, which I think is awesome. What a cool car and a special story that comes with this one. Shane, thanks for sharing this with me, and I hope I've done justice to the cool project that you're working on and that you were working on with your father. I can't wait to see the finished pictures when the time comes, and I know that your dad would be proud of you and the car. Now, if you'd like to have your car showcased on the channel, send a couple of pictures over to fredsfullthrottle@gmail.com. Add a bit of a description about your car or something interesting about it. I'll share them in the first come, first served order on new videos when I do the news, so keep an eye out. You may just see a car that you recognize. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, Fred out!